I'm Flynn Ballantyne, president of Ballantyne Gear. We will show you an installation of a support line and secondary anchor lines to the primary anchor line. Attaching secondary anchor lines to the primary anchor line will give greater access to the roof and reinforce the primary anchor line. For complete instructions, see Ballantyne Gear Technical Manual. To better understand this video, you will need to already know the techniques of the two-person installation with ladders of a primary anchor line. See the link below in the description. The installer, Stephen, is attached to the primary anchor line with his adjustable lifeline. Installer attaches a goblin to the primary anchor line at the chosen intersection of the secondary anchor lines and attaches the goblin to the rope that will be the first secondary anchor line. Installer will be anchoring this line to the back of the house. To send the rope to the back of the house, installer will first throw the rope over the front of the house, and then he or she will use the line thrower to send it to the back of the house. Other ways to send a line across a roof could include launching the line from the rooftop, carrying the line, or throwing the line to where it needs to go. Always make sure that you are protected from falls throughout the installation. Continuing with the installation, installer goes to the back of the house and pulls the throw line and then the rope over the back of the roof as shown. Installer attaches the rope to the E-hook and then raises the E-hook and attaches it to the roof edge. Tensioning this first secondary anchor line that is being supported only by the primary anchor line on the other side is different than tensioning a rope that has an E-hook on the other side. As you tension the rope to this E-hook, you will create a deflection on the primary anchor line to which it is attached. You do not want to create a deflection of more than 7.5 degrees in the primary anchor line from its original position. Tension this first secondary anchor line until the E-hook is pressed up against the soffit, but not any more than necessary to keep the E-hook against the soffit. We are referring to this anchor line as the first secondary anchor line and will continue to do so. However, until we complete the installation of the second secondary anchor line, it is not an anchor line and it should not be used as an anchor line except as is directed for the installer in this video and in the Ballantyne Gear Technical Manual. It is, however, a support line that can be used to support an anchor line with a span that is greater than 100 feet or an anchor line that does not cross a significant ridge, as is required in the Technical Manual. The installer goes back to the first side to install the secondary anchor line. Safely attached to the primary anchor line, installer attaches a goblin to the primary anchor line next to the goblin that is going to the first secondary anchor line, positioning it such that the two goblins are facing each other and within an inch or two of each other. In this configuration, we call these adjacent goblins. When the installation is complete, the adjacent goblins will not be able to move up or down the line. Installer attaches a rope to this second goblin. Throws the rope down the front of the house. attaches an E-hook to the rope, and then installs the E-hook. At this E-hook, the line will be fully tensioned, the same as is done to the primary anchor line, resulting in the first and secondary anchor lines being fully tensioned. Users are now free to anchor to the primary or secondary anchor lines. Secondary anchor lines act as support lines for the primary anchor line. Primary anchor line and secondary anchor lines are strengthened by each other.